it's a different world now. And it is, right?
In every sense of the
nor
word.
I are not very old. I'm a little tiny bit older than you, but we're not very old. But it's such a different world.
Yes.
So I remember, we're getting into the old man stories. I remember when I had to walk barefoot in the snow, uphill both ways to school. No, I remember when my dad, he was a contractor, and I remember when he got a cell phone. Now this was for those on video. This is like this big. It was called a bag phone.
Yeah, the bag phone.
Which was actually really cool because it was more portable than the ones that they got installed in the car.
In the cars, yeah.
Because you could actually take it with you
Yeah.
to somewhere and plug it in. But it was a bag phone, so it was about the size of a shoebox, roughly, this whole system, you know. The phone actually had a cradle that kind of snapped in, and then you would undo the phone, and it had buttons on the back, and you would,
Yeah.
you'd dial the phone, and it had a cord on it. And so, in fact, I remember one time we were driving through town, and we saw a chimney fire, and he used his phone to call 911, in the truck. But he was like on the cutting edge. He was like the only one that hit, and I'm not that old, okay? But he was like the only one around that had a cell phone, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And it was this bag phone in the truck.
Sheesh.
And then, I remember I have pictures of me with I was like one of the few teenagers that had a phone, and it was this big old, it was like the size of, I don't know, a couple decks of cards at least, it was a pretty big bulky phone. But anyway,
the world has changed.
Yeah, the world has changed. And I'm using that because it's technology. And so I wanted, and I remember seeing somewhere, we don't watch TV, but I saw it on an ad, probably on TV, but I saw the advertisement for the first iPhone. And now, whatever people iPhone, Android, Samsung, whatever the different phones are, they're all, it seems like pretty close to the same, and it's just more of a preference thing nowadays.
Yep.
But when that first iPhone came out, it was revolutionary.
Yes.
I mean, when you saw somebody stretch on the screen, or just touch the screen and swipe and the stuff rolled past, it was like mind-boggling.
I had a boss who bought, when it first came out, had it.
Got the first one.
And showed it, and it was just like, it was just so foreign, so weird.
Oh, yeah.
What is this? This is weird. That'll never catch on. That's, what?
Well, I remember I went to get a phone, and I was telling the guy, I was kind of looking at the iPhone. I was like, that looks kind of cool. And I was like, he's like, what are you going to use it for? And at the time, I was doing some sales, and I was like, oh, business stuff. And so he got me this other, it was a dumb phone, but he got me this other phone, and I had wished so bad that, later on that I had gotten the iPhone. But anyway, so it's a different world now. Technology is at lightning speed. There's all these different things. And there's social media, and there's all the negatives with that, that come with, especially with teenagers and even kids.
Right.
And so there's all this pressure and everything. Boy, that was a long explanation to get where I'm going. Where I'm going with that is the title of this bullet is, it's a different world now. But this should not be an excuse of the good old days.
Right.
It shouldn't be an excuse for, well, this is why we're, I'm going to blast, ourselves and maybe other people, but this is why we're lackluster, is because, we can't compete with the world. I hear that all the time. We can't compete with the entertainment industry, and we're not per se, but instead it should be, it's a different world now, and this should be the reason why we can do so much more.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, and it's the same. Like, we don't want to compete with the world. They can have their way and be lost. We're trying to do something that is opposite of the world.
Exactly. We're not.
So I guess one thing, we just don't be getting caught up in trying to compete with the world. Yeah, we have bus kids, so we're trying to compete with what they're seeing probably at home or doing at home and and whatnot. But
we want them to feel something different.
We want want it to be different. We don't want it to feel, oh, this was exciting. It reminded me of a movie or something. Or something. Or they go home and they're talking about Sunday school and how it was like, and it's a bad example as we're doing Narnia right now, but still, a lot of them haven't even heard of Narnia to begin with. But
it was funny because I did ask somebody in the sanctuary. I had asked them before we came into Sunday school, and in the service, something about Narnia, and they're like, "It's a movie." I said, "Well, they did make a movie, yes, but that's not where it started.
Not the origin of it." Yes, I should have said that too. It's like, it's a worldly movie, but. And we're doing it as a theme, but it was not the original. It was not a
and that was not the original intent either. And so, and I guess, and this could get into a whole other subject, is don't let the world hijack something we do. I mean, they made a movie. Mel Gibson did the Passion of the Christ movie too.
That's true.
So, but and we're not competing with the world, but we're also not using that as an excuse. Like, okay, the world has. All these movies, and they have all these things that they do, and there's no way we can compete. We are still doing very cool and exciting things. We're still doing full-on drama in Sunday school, skits, crazy themes, all of this.
Right.
But it's coming at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Israel Houghton, and that is how you pronounce it. I was at a concert when he said that's how you pronounce it. So it looks like Houghton or something, but it's Houghton. Yeah, so anyway, I remember hearing him in an intro to a song or something, and I don't remember what the song is, but he says something, and I thought it was really good. And this has been several years ago, but he said that we're living in the greatest time. And that may be part of the song, actually. But he says, we're living in the greatest time. And he said the apostles just wish that they had the internet and the social media and all of this stuff. And I thought, what a different take, on it. And believe me, there's all kinds of negatives, and we are not, pro any of those things that are negative. But if we could say it's a different world now, and that's why we're so much more effective. That's why we're so much more on the cutting edge.
You don't think about it that way, but you use it, think about it, twist it, and like, okay, what if they had, what levels would they have reached in their ministry alone?
Yeah, exactly. And I like to say sometimes, like, we're doing parables in Sunday school, we're teaching these stories and doing it on a level where these kids can get it, and they're saturated with all this entertainment. But yet they come to school or Sunday school, and they get this,
Yeah.